Hey guys, and welcome to today's video. As you probably saw by the title, this video is going to be about the Urban Decay All Nighter foundation, and I don't have the full bottle, I just have this little mini sample, but this sample actually does have the wand, so it's a pretty good sample, and so I think I'll be able to test it just as good as if I had the actual product. And so in this video, it's going to be a first impression. I filmed myself putting it on for the first time. I never tried it before. Did a wear test, and I'll show you how it looks at the end of the day and everything. But first, let me read you a little bit about the product. And I'm just going to be reading this from this card that it came with, not off the actual website, but I'm sure it says the same thing on there. Okay, so it says, the ultimate foundation for a flawless looking complexion. It's waterproof, gives coverage that lasts all day or night, and a modern matte finish that never looks overdone. It says that you can achieve a blown out effect, kind of like how you do with blending out your eyeshadow, so it's supposed to look blown out and not patchy whatsoever, for skin that looks amazing and stays that way. A revolutionary formula is comfortable enough to wear every single day. So it's saying that even though it is a matte finish, it shouldn't be uncomfortable and you should be able to wear it every day. We loaded this full coverage foundation with such an insane amount of pigments that a little goes a long way, and there's no need to build your coverage or apply multiple layers. Light diffusing pigments blur flaws for beautifully perfected skin, while high-tech ingredients mattify and absorb oil to reduce the appearance of shine. I am going to jump straight into the clip of me applying it. So the shade that I have is 3.5. It is this one right here on the card, so it is pretty much right in the middle of the lighter range of shades, so that's 3.5. The sample is actually in this adorable little packaging. Like, it doesn't look like the actual packaging, but this feels like an actual foundation bottle. Like, the plastic is like really thick and like really hard acrylic, and the cap is like metal, and then it actually comes with a little mini doe foot like this, so just like the actual big foundation would, so you don't have to dump this sample out onto your hand. I'm going to start on this side and just kind of dot the product. Oh, this actually isn't a doe foot, it's like a little flat like spatula thing on the sample here, so it's just like a little plastic spatula. Okay, and on this side, I'm going to use a beauty blender. And then on the other side, I'm going to use a brush, a foundation brush. Fingers down my spine. Girl, you look mighty fine. Won't you rub your fingers down my spine? Girl, you look mighty fine. So I don't know if you can tell through the camera. I'm sure you can. They always say, like, I don't know if you can, but you can always tell, you know what I mean? But I'm sure you can tell on the camera, this already did a ton. Like, it covered up my imperfections and everything on this side. Like, it looks so smooth and perfect on this side, and I will show you a close-up, but you cannot see this on my skin. Looking in the mirror right now, you literally cannot see this on my skin. It looks like there's nothing there. So far we're off to a good start. Girl, you look mighty fine. Won't you rub your fingers down my spine? Girl, you look mighty fine. Won't you rub your fingers down my spine? Girl, you look mighty fine. Won't you rub your fingers down my spine? Girl, you look mighty fine. Won't you rub your So I am all finished with the side with the beauty blender, and this is actually doing a lot better of a job than I thought. Honestly, since it is said to be such a full coverage foundation, I thought that it would kind of look a lot more cakey, but it looks really smooth, and you cannot even tell that it's on my skin up close. Like, it looks so amazing, and like the coverage is insane. Here, I'll turn towards the light a little bit. So I've just turned towards my window a little bit more so that you can see better. This covered amazingly. Like when you look at this side of my face, and this camera like doesn't really smooth out your face when you're this close. When I am really far back, it kind of does have like a smoothing effect a little bit, but up close it doesn't do that at all, and you can really see like that did a lot. That really did a lot, and all I put on was what you saw. Like I didn't go in and like put more on or anything. So here is both sides fully done, and this side actually, in my opinion, kind of has a little bit less coverage. It looks the tiniest bit heavier on my skin, like just like such a small amount, like more cakey on this side, and the tiniest bit less coverage. Is the time for me to show you the close-up of my skin so you can kind of decide for yourself what you think it looks like. Okay, so on my forehead, this is the side that I used with the brush, and then this is the side I used with the Beauty Blender. You can see like it doesn't have quite as much coverage on this side. Like I do have like a few little breakouts here and there on this side, but you cannot see the redness from them. But you can just see this side looks a lot less smooth. Then something to note that is kind of confusing, if you can see these little white bumps that are right here, those are just like kind of dry patches of skin, and normally with foundation you couldn't see those. Like I never have foundations that really grab onto dry patches. Yeah, like I have never had a foundation that grabs onto dry patches like that, and that's so confusing because this foundation looks so amazing on the skin. Like when I look at it in the mirror, you cannot even tell that it's on my skin. It looks so flawless. I am just gonna go finish up my makeup real quick, film an eye tutorial, and then I will come check in as soon as I'm finished with that. So I'm here for my check-in at the end of the day so that I can show you how the product wore. Okay, so from what I can see on my forehead is that it looks pretty much exactly the same as it did when I put it on. This side still looks smoother than the side that I used the brush, and it still has more coverage on that side, but it hasn't gotten oily whatsoever. There is no shine. Normally that does not happen. Usually my skin is very shiny at this point, but there's no shine, and I haven't used any powder on my forehead. I have some bronzer on the perimeter up here. It has been 6.5 hours. I put it on at 12 and it is now 6:30. So, and then in this area right here, it's the same thing. I have no shine whatsoever. It is not oily, but this area right here is extremely cakey. Well, not extremely cakey, it's not that bad, but it is a lot cakier in this area here than it is anywhere else on my face. But you gotta keep in mind I did put concealer underneath of my eyes, and I did set that concealer with a powder. So there's no powder anywhere on my face except in this area right here, and I suspect that's probably why it is cakey there, and if I hadn't powdered there at all, I'm sure it wouldn't be cakey. And then on my chin here, earlier when I put it on, it was really clinging to these dry patches down here, but now it's not anymore. Although the coverage kind of has been lost on certain breakouts, but it still looks pretty nice regardless. It hasn't faded, it hasn't creased in my smile lines. Hey guys, so I am back here at the end of the night to tell you all my thoughts on the product, all of my gathered opinions and everything. The first thing I want to talk about is the difference in application between the sponge side and the side I used with the brush. The sponge definitely gave more coverage. Like the sponge, like as soon as you tap it on your face, it's a lot of coverage, but like rubbing it around with a brush takes away a little bit of that coverage. And the brush that I have is from It Cosmetics, and it is a really soft brush. It's really amazing, and it soaks up hardly any product whatsoever, but it still gives a little bit less coverage. And this is a very full coverage foundation. Even with the brush, it still gave me a lot more coverage than I would normally get with any other foundation. But just a thing to note is that on the Beauty Blender side, it did give you more coverage upon application, and also the side with the sponge was less cakey. Now the side with the brush was just the tiniest little itty bitty bit more cakey, it was hardly noticeable. This did give a more natural appearance, and in my opinion, you could not even see it on the skin. In real life, looking in the mirror, I could barely see it on my face. It looked amazing. And then the second thing about this foundation is that it is very, very matte. Like, you can see on my face right now how my skin looks right now is exactly the same as it looked when I first applied it. I put on no powder when I first put it on, and I have not touched up with any powder. I haven't blotted my face, nothing. All I have some blush on, a little bit of bronzer right here, and then some bronzer up here at the very perimeter, but that's it, nothing else. And you can see my skin is still incredibly matte. There is no shine, and it has not been shiny all day, and it looks amazing. And the like light diffusing thing where it's supposed to have a soft focus look, I agree with that, especially looking in the mirror in real life. It looks amazing. It looks so flawless and kind of airbrushed, except you saw in the clip when I showed my chin and everything, you can kind of see the breakouts a little bit, but that's okay. It really wasn't that noticeable. One thing that is kind of a con for most people is that it did cling to dry patches. I have one more con to add to that about it kind of clinging to the dry patches, is that it looks so cakey under my eyes, because I too take foundation like lightly under my eyes and on my eyelids before I go in with concealer, just a small amount. And when I went to like do my eyeshadow, because I filmed this tutorial, my eyelids looked so cakey, and I've never had that happen to me before. I had to wipe it off of my eyelids. I didn't underneath my eyes, just on my eyelids, but I had to wipe it all off and just put concealer up there because it looked so gross. And underneath of my eyes, it looked so cakey and heavy, like just all around my eye area and right here. So I would not recommend you put it anywhere around your eyes, because it is not gonna look good. In my opinion, it might be fine for you, but for me, it really caked up like all around my eye area. So I would suggest like maybe dabbing a little bit of a different foundation, like a luminous foundation, just under your eyes and then putting concealer, or just putting concealer and that's it. One thing that is really great about this foundation is how it feels. It feels so lightweight on my skin. I can't feel it. It doesn't feel like heavy. It doesn't feel oily or greasy, and it just doesn't feel like cakey or powdery either. It feels super lightweight and nice. Normally my skin gets greasy within like a half an hour. Usually by the time I'm finished with the rest of my makeup, I already have to powder again because my skin just gets so oily so quickly. And so that's one amazing thing about this. Because my skin is so matte right now still, I do not think I would powder my face with this product, which is amazing because I hate the feeling of like greasy skin caked with powder. So that is one amazing thing. I've never had a foundation that kept me this matte. Even that L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte foundation, I mean, it was really matte, but it still looked shiny. You know what I mean? This looks glowy and nice, but still matte. It looks like a very natural matte. And then the very last thing I have to say about it is obviously how well it lasts. It says that it will last through anything, all day, all night, any type of activities. So I would definitely agree with that because it is still on my face perfectly. Like, it has not changed. It doesn't look any different. It looks exactly the way it did when I applied it hours and hours ago. By the way, it's probably almost 7 o'clock right now, so it's been 7 hours because I applied it at 12. So it's been on for a very long time and nothing has changed. This foundation costs $40, so that's honestly really not that bad. I mean, a lot of foundations at the drugstore these days are getting really up there, like $16, $20. Like, they're really getting up there. And a lot of like more high-end foundations will be like $50 to $80, like $50 to $70 or $80. So this one being $40 is actually pretty nice for how well of a foundation it is. I really love it. I have not loved a foundation this much. It was so full coverage upon first application, and it lasts so well. It doesn't get shiny. It doesn't feel heavy. It feels really nice, and it's only $40. So I would definitely agree with that price. I think it's the perfect price point for a foundation like this. Alright guys, so that's it for this video. Please don't forget to subscribe if you would like to see more videos from me, and hopefully I will see you in my next video. Bye!